Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Full Count MLB Sports Betting Show presented to you by SportsMemo. My name is Eric Pauly, and I am joined today with JM Sports Jeff Michaels to break down the Guardians-Yankees ALDS Game 5 that's coming up in about an hour, and the Phillies-Padres NLCS Game 1. Jeff, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, of course. As always, I'm excited. And hey, I'm even more excited when I get to talk a little bit of Guardians baseball today. So,
yeah, just a two-man show today. Of course, we got Jeff decked out in the Cleveland gear, JM Sports Cle. You know, this guy represents Cleveland and all the teams there. Before we get into the games, which we're going to get into really quickly, we have a $2 Tuesday promotion today at SportsMemo. Myself, Jesse Schul, Ronald Kabang, 5% bets for just $5, all three cappers. On wagertalk.com, Rob Vino is the featured $2 Tuesday capper over there at our brother website. So make sure you check out the offer. Myself, Jesse Schul, Ronald Kabang for just $5, and also Rob Vino for just $2 on Wager Talk. $7, you get 4 best bets. I don't really know how else you can quantify that value. It's all there, and it's really exciting stuff. But we don't want to waste too much time with the fluff right now because we have a game that kicks off in about an hour, and this is a big, big game. The New York Yankees -170 favorites hosting the Cleveland Guardians. That total is about 6.5. Game 5. Winner moves on to the ALCS to play the Houston Astros. Could not be more cut and dry and simple. But we had a little bit of a rain delay last night. The game was supposed to happen at Yankee Stadium last night. Inclement weather in the Bronx postponed that game, which has its, I'm sure, pros and cons to both teams. I want to hear from you, Jeff, as a Cleveland fan that knows the history of not only just the sport, but this team. Talk to me. How do you think the rain delay is going to impact this matchup that is now scheduled for an hour from now?
The rain delay scared me, made me happy yesterday, all at the same time. I thought maybe there was a chance, the Yankees brought out Nestor Cortez today. So I thought maybe there was a chance they bring out Shane Bieber too. Not seeing Bieber is not exactly what I want to see, but the one side that it really does benefit us is out of the bullpen. I mean, our top 3 guys, without question, Trevor Stevens, Karen Check, and Emmanuel Clase, all haven't pitched since Friday now. So they're all coming out with solid rest. So we can go pretty deep into this bullpen. And Savali's making his first start in the postseason this year, but he closed out the season winning 7 out of his last 8 starts for the Guardians. Excuse me, almost went back to the old name. But he's got a 3.27 ERA in his last 4 starts. He's won them all. And his whip in the last 3 is just a .706. But he's 0-2 against the Yankees this year. So should be an exciting one. A couple of the crazy things that I saw just looking, the rain delays trigger all these weird thoughts. But a team down 2-1 that won Game 4 to stay alive like the Yankees did have won 55% of Game 5s. But in true home team winner-take-all postseason games, the home team's just 61-63. So the away team actually has the edge. Cleveland looks to end the second longest active winner-take-all losing streak. They've lost 7 in a row. And the Yankees are 8-5 in elimination games since 2017. So pointing towards the Yankees a little bit, but I did think it was interesting, Eric. This one might catch your attention. First time ever in MLB postseason history that we see 2 rounds overlap in the same day. So Guardians couldn't even find a hotel last night with that rain delay. They had to stay in 2 separate hotels across the city. So there's so much going into this game, and I'm having flashbacks to the 2016 World Series where that rain delay cost us. So I'm thinking Mother Nature owes us one on this one. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, so I think you made some good points. I was going to bring up the fact that the Guardians, because of the rain delay, having to go back to New York, could not stay in the same hotel, which I think is very I don't know if that was some gamesmanship by the Yankees to, tell some of the hotels in the New York City area to just not make the vacancies if possible, or if that was actually the situation. But something that you didn't touch on that I want to ask you a question about as well is, so Shane Bieber, he could pitch today. He could start this game. He could get after. He could definitely go 4, 5, 6, 7 innings if he's feeling it. And that pitch count is low. But the Guardians are opting to stay with Aaron Savali for this matchup. We have seen Robbie Ray, Jamison Tyone, some other starters, of course, not on the same caliber as Bieber, though Ray, of course, once was. They had trouble coming in as starters all season long, going into relief. I guess the plan is, like you mentioned, to have Savali go as many innings as possible, but he definitely will have a short leash if he's letting guys on base. I'm sure they'll cut that cord very quickly. But how confident are you if, the Guardians come out 2 innings unscathed, but Savali maybe has 2 second and third jams he gets out of, and then you go to Bieber? Obviously, it's Bieber, but are you not nervous about the fact that the starters then coming off the pine and getting into that ball game in the third inning? Is that not a little nerve-wracking?
Yeah, I can't tell you what Tito's thinking, but if I'm putting myself in that position, I don't know if I see Bieber coming out of the bullpen. I because whenever I can get that chance. But if you're going to throw him for a couple innings in the middle, I don't see why you wouldn't start him. Just the thought of how Savali's done to end the year, and then you think about the rested bullpen, something has me thinking that Tito may try, and he may be thinking about an ALCS game 1 and throwing Bieber and potentially getting the most out of him in the next series, which, again, as a fan, isn't probably what I want to see, but we do have the bullpen to back it up. So, yeah, it might concern me, especially if you're going to throw Bieber in the middle and then you start thinking about the ALCS and you risk him going out there and you're not being able to pitch a game 1, which is something that I'll get your take on because they haven't announced if that game tomorrow will be changed. But you throw Bieber in a middle inning tonight, you may not get him for a game 1. I think it's a Savali bullpen game, and you got a couple other arms in there that you might be able to go to if you're looking for a long relief position. But I don't know if Bieber's that guy unless it's we're down big early and we need to really do it, and we're not thinking about the ALCS anymore. But with the mentality that they took starting Savali and making the points about the bullpen, I don't know if we're going to see Bieber tonight unless it's dire need.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, but it's also just an interesting predicament that the Guardians are in. Of course, you want to live and die in the postseason by your best players. Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, those 2 guys. Of course, McKenzie can't go. You can't, and I know Terry Francona being one of the better head coaches in all of managers in all of baseball, if not realistically the best, you know that he's not counting his chickens before he hatches. You know that he is not preparing for ALCS game 1 until all 27 outs are recorded tonight in the Bronx. However, it's not, crazy to think a little bit forward, but you want to go out with your best players. But I think that the confidence that Francona has in Savali, how he's pitched of late, as well as that bullpen is really, going to show in this game because that's how they decide to attack this matchup. It's one of those situations where hindsight's always 20/20. Savali gets rocked in the first 2 innings. You're down 4-0, and you end up losing a game, 5-2. Doesn't matter who was healthy in your bullpen or who warmed up, and you lost because you went Savali. Of course, that's hindsight. But again, on the other flip side of the coin, Savali gives you 5 scoreless innings. You go up 1-2. Class A, Karinchak come in, shut down the Yankees. Now you have Bieber healthy to pitch in Houston for game 1. That's obviously going to be a huge benefit for this team. So certainly no right answer. But one thing I think that most could agree on, though, in the situation is in the postseason, you do want to go out with your best. But then again, the debate even comes if, you trust McKenzie more than you trust Bieber at this point. You could kind of go into a couple of different debates in that situation. But I don't know. That's kind of where my stance is if you lose because Savali gets rocked in the third inning of this game, of course, again, hindsight 20/20, but that doesn't seem like the best recipe for success for the Guardians, though I'm a Guardians backer in this game. I just hate Savali's road splits on the season, though he did pitch better to the year. The ERA close to 6 on the road, 3.77 FIP, 4.26 slugging percentage against, and the Yankees being that team that just hits, 1 home run, 1 swing of the bat, and it could be a 3-0 game. They're not going to hit anything else for the rest of that game, but I think it's just one of those situations that Francona, unless they win, is going to get scrutinized if Savali gets hurt, but I don't know how fair that is because, again, hindsight always 20/20.
Right.
Do you agree with that, Jeff, or do you think at this point Savali's hot, ride him and see what you can do is stick to the fundamentals, or would you have liked to have seen Bieber just come in and see what he could do?
I would have liked it, but I will say, we've talked a lot of one side, but they're 32-17 against lefties too. You got Nestor Cortez on the mound, who's pitching pretty well for the Yankees too, but we got his number in the last one too. He had 4 straight starts, I believe, where he allowed 1 or less earned run before his last outing against us too. So it's not just coming from one side. It is a little bit of a struggle on the other side too. So maybe that's what they're banking on, that they can get to Cortez again like they did last time early and get a win. So maybe they don't need Bieber. Who knows? Oh, well, maybe we lost Eric. Well, I'm going to guess that either we lost Eric or I'm the frozen one and I'm getting a bad feed. Oh, there's Eric.
Oh, hello. Can you guys hear me, Jeff?
Yep, you're back. You're
Okay,
good,
so I
Eric.
don't know what just happened there. I guess a little Wi-Fi just went rogue.
You're good. We can probably jump on over to that. I was just saying, I don't know where I lost you, but 32-17 against lefties, and we got to Cortez last time, so maybe we don't need Bieber this time. So we'll see.
And I want to mention, I was at that game at Yankee Stadium Friday when I saw Cortez pitch. One of the allures of Cortez was his ability to have, he had like a 190 batting average against at home this season, but he let up 6 hits, 3 walks. He did not look like himself. So we didn't really talk again about how much it might impact the Yankees. We kind of stuck to the Guardians there. But last thoughts on this game before we move on to the NLCS is I'm just in the camp where the New York Yankees are a very overrated baseball team. I would see them jog out of the batter's box on pop-ups and ground balls. I see IKF outfielders not hustling and diving and making big plays in the outfield. This team, of course, relies on the long ball. They don't really manufacture runs. Aaron Judge was in that slump, and their inability to really hit around him was tough. I just think that even if this Yankees team squeak by the Guardians, they got something else coming for them against the Astros. So like I mentioned in the first family show today, I am on the Guardians plus 1.5 for this matchup. I do think they will win outright. But again, look forward thinking a little bit. I don't think the Yankees they won 99 games. They made it this far, but I definitely do not think I think they're actually the worst of the 4 teams still in the entire field. So before we can jump into the Philadelphia Phillies headed to San Diego for the NLCS Game 1. For the series price, the Padres are minus 130 favorites. The Phillies were even money, so slight favorites on the Padres. They, of course, have home field advantage in this CS, so the first 2 games will be in San Diego, as will tonight's game. Jeff, before we get into the specifics of Game 1, talk to me about the series in general. 7 games now, going back and forth between ballparks. Who do you think has the edge?
This is an exciting one to see. This isn't the 2 teams that I think any or many of us would have thought would have came out of this side of the bracket, let alone both of them knocking off the Dodgers and the Braves, let alone taking out the Mets in the wild card round. Philly's 5-1 in their last 6 games, and San Diego's 5-2. But both these teams have made it through the postseason, allowing under 3 runs per game. So I'm excited to see these Phillies bats have really woken up, and the Padres, imagine, I know we don't want to think ahead to next year, but imagine what the Padres would be with a full roster too. So their trade deadline acquisitions seem to be starting to click at the right time, if any, as late as they possibly could. But, the Phillies bats are just waking up to a level that their lineup is hard to deny, especially as a dog in the series. I know they don't have home field advantage, but they've won 5 out of 6 games and they haven't had home field advantage yet. So that doesn't seem to make a huge difference. I'm looking Phillies for the series, I think.
Yeah, no, and it's hard to blame you. I was on a show with a different colleague of ours, and I forgot who, and they mentioned that the Phillies give them vibes of the Nationals in that 2019 run. Fantastic start of the rotation, bats that can hit, hot at the right time. And though their bullpen is definitely their biggest weakness, when you have those studs at the top of the rotation that are going to give you 6, 7, 8, and you just need 1 or 2 innings from the bullpen to kind of stay down, your bats are as hot as they are. It's October. We've seen crazier things. That was a fantastic run by Washington, and the Phillies kind of fit that mold. So I think it's very interesting, and I do agree that that's the pricing agrees too. The Padres are favorites because they have the home field. If this was flipped and the Phillies had home field, I think the Phillies would be even bigger favorites than the Padres are for the home field. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But looking at Game 1, Zach Wheeler going for the Phillies. This will be his 3rd start of the postseason. All 3 of those starts have been on the road. His middle start against the Atlanta Braves allowed just 3 runs and got the loss in that game. But that was really, it wasn't a bad start, right? Obviously, it sucks that they lost and they lost the ball game. But, letting up 3 runs in a 6-inning start would definitely not qualify as like a miserable start by any means. But looking at this game, you got Darvish going for the Padres. He has done well to start this postseason. But when you look at the splits from the regular season, Wheeler was actually better in FIP on the road, and Darvish was actually worse at home. So I don't know how big this home field advantage truly is going to be for San Diego. I'm curious, Jeff, do you think there even is an advantage, or no, because you mentioned, the Phillies are clearly comfortable playing on the road and, kind of with this pressure now. Do you think that Darvish is going to really instill a lot of fear into this Phillies lineup, or you think this lineup they're just hot right now? They could throw whoever at them, the Phillies are going to be coming to play.
I think if the Phillies can come swinging bats like they have been, they're competitive against any starting pitcher that they're going to see. The one thing that does concern me a little bit, Wheeler has 15 starts on the road in the regular season this year, and the team finished just 8-7. So they just barely surpassed that 500 mark on the year. But as you mentioned, even though he gave up those 3 earned runs, he's still got a 2.19 ERA in his 2 playoff starts. And in his last 3 starts overall, Wheeler's got a 1.56 ERA. Darvish, his ERA in the playoffs is actually a 3.0, so it's a little bit worse. But again, you said the difference is San Diego won both of his starts. He was better at home in terms of ERA this year, and he was 8-5. Plus, they've won 8 of his last 9 starts overall. But I did look, the one thing that stood out to me when you look at these 2 pitchers in their career against the opposing team, Wheeler's 5-2 in his career against the Padres with a 2.06 ERA, and Darvish is just 2-5 against the Phillies. He does have a whip under 1 and an ERA of 2.23, but he hasn't gotten the run support that he needed to beat the Phillies. And, another big one that stood out to me, I like my SDQL stuff, as Eric, and I was looking, the Phillies, after putting up 8 or more runs, they're 23-9 this year. So their offense is by no means a one-and-done team, but the total is under 7, and Darvish is 15-4 in the last 2 years with the total under 7 or less when he's starting. So, those games are seemingly pitchers' duels or supposed to be, or just bad offenses, I guess. But they've won those games by 2.5 runs. And, I find it hard to imagine that both these teams are going to continue to allow under 3 runs a game. So Philly even has a 5-2 record in San Diego over the last 3 years. So I know regular season's different than postseason, but Phillies came in there 7 times to San Diego and won 5 of them over the last 2 years. So another one I will give you for free, I was looking at, I like Darvish over 5.5 Ks. I will say that. He's done it in 10 out of his last 11 starts, and he has a pretty good history in terms of K percentage against the lineup that's up there. So don't think I have a lean on the actual game. I do like that Darvish K prop, and I do like the Phillies in the series. I'll give you that.
Philly in the series, Darvish K prop. For this game, my $2 Tuesday 5% play is on this game. So I'm not going to divulge what I have going on there, but definitely make sure you check out what else Jeff has going on. We have, of course, the championship series coming up, so I'm sure there'll be some bets. Then the World Series. NBA, of course, kicks off tonight. Football, both footballs in both swings, in the swing of things in both leagues. So much, ton of action and going. But we do still have best bets. My best bet I gave earlier was on the Guardians plus 1.5. But Jeff, you have a different angle for that game for your best bet. Tell me where you find the most value on the board today.
I do. I actually have a premium play on the sides. I actually have an NHL and an NBA play up there as well. But my best bet for the show I'm going to give you guys for today, found it on DraftKings, is actually Anthony Rizzo over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs combined, and you're getting plus money there. Rizzo hasn't had a huge name in the series thus far. He's got 4 hits and 14 at-bats, but he does have a home run. He also has a very intriguing and enticing record against Aaron Savali. He's hitting 500 in 10 at-bats, and he's got 2 home runs. And, we kind of talked about earlier potentially them getting out early against Savali. Rizzo's batting 3rd in today's lineup, puts him in an ideal opportunity to cash this prop in the first inning. You could have him hit, even if the first 2 guys get out, you got him hitting a double. We get an RBI out of the 4-hole, or you get an early guy that gets a base hit. You get an RBI double, you got a hit, you got an RBI, or you got a hit, you got a run in the first inning. So I feel like this is one that could cash early before we see any bullpen action out of Savali or out of the Guardians with the history that Anthony Rizzo has had against Savali. And as I mentioned, you're getting plus money too. So I think it's a good opportunity there.
Certainly agree with that. Jeff's best bet, Anthony Rizzo, over 1.5 hits, runs, or RBIs for the game. Savali is going to this game is going to be defined in the first couple of innings. Not saying the Guardians can't come back and win like they have done twice in the series, but I think from a Yankees perspective, if they're able to jump on Savali early, having prop bet cash as well, that's going to be really difficult for the Guardians to come back from. But thank you everybody for listening to the show. We have the first pitch for the Guardians Yankees game is in less than an hour. So everybody, I hope you're excited. $2 Tuesday on Sports Memo. Myself, Jesse Schul, Ronald Kabang for $5. All three of our best bets, as well as Rob Bino at Wager Talk. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe to the Sports Memo TV YouTube channel. It is the best way to help our channel grow, so we really appreciate that. For myself, JM Sports, and our producer Kyle, thank you everybody, and best of luck with your bets today.